So before we talk about this bolt lift kit, which is the best bolt lift kit on the market, I want to warn you, like any product that's successful and works really good, there's now a copycat out there, okay? And it is an inferior copy. I'm getting emails and calls from customers saying that, you know, they bought it and tried it and didn't work, or just had compatibility issues, or just didn't fit. Yeah, so be warned about the copycat. I know I've actually talked to this copycatter myself on the phone, and he doesn't even own a Savage. Okay, so yeah. Typically the gun industry is a very honorable industry and you don't see these kinds of issues, but I guess there has to be one. My advice is to look for only the kit that is made by Dutch Industries, and you get it from the website. It's the lowest price because eBay is taking quite the cut these days. From 2019 and forward, Savage is now using a new firing pin assembly which requires the use of a different type of bolt lift kit. And these are pretty easily identified. They have what's called a cocking indicator. But there's one other thing you have to check, and that's to make sure that it is in fact the one-piece firing pin assembly, which I can actually see that it is the one. By contrast, a regular firing pin assembly will look something similar to this. It doesn't have a groove cut through it like this one does. So this is the old style, and I would say that this is, although this has more flexibility, this is not as good as the new one. The new one, I believe, is a superior design. So if you have the opportunity to upgrade to it, or you already have one, you know, cool beans. So first off, I'll show you how to install it. So there you can kind of see side by side. This is the old firing pin assembly. Here's the new firing pin assembly. So once we get the bolt apart, we've taken all the guts out. The first thing we're going to do, this is the long spring. Do not ever cut the longer spring. And then we've got the spring with the pigtail on it. Now typically what I do is I straighten the pigtail just a little bit more. From the factory, they have quite an aggressive curve to them, which kind of makes it sit crooked in there, and that can increase the resistance. This little washer right here, you can actually get rid of altogether. Now, depending on which bolt lift kit you buy, will depend on where you go from here. So, if you buy the one with a washer, you don't have to do anything. You can just reassemble it with these, and I'll show you how it will go together with the thrust bearing on the inside. So we've got, excuse me. So we've got the groove right here. That's going to face to the back. And we've actually got the actual bearing itself. Doesn't really matter which way that one goes on. And then on top of that, the second washer, which has the grooves facing towards the balls themselves. And then this here will go on top of that. And then all this will slide back into the rifle bolt. We can reinsert this pin, which is the cocking sear, and then we put the bolt handle back on, and then our ring goes on the BIS, and the BIS all goes back together. I'll tell you right now that this bolt, as it came, had a bolt lift that weighed in at about 5 pounds, right? And we know that because I actually have tools I can measure it with. Once the bolt lift kit was installed, the bolt lift is now measuring 4 pounds 3 ounces, which is a pretty good improvement.